In this lesson, we are going to focus on dividing fractions, and we really only have two objectives. The first, of course, is to just divide the fractions themselves. Secondly, we will see how we can actually use division of fractions to figure out the height of a rectangle or parallelogram. We'll also be able to solve some word problems with it. Now, before you begin, there are several skills that we expect you would have. You should be able to multiply whole numbers or fractions. You should know where the numerator and denominator of a fraction go. And you should be able to simplify fractions. Quite simply, when the directions ask you to find the quotient, they mean divide. And so we are looking at this and saying, divide these fractions, find the quotient. And in order to do that, there are a couple things that you would, of course, have to observe. Please remember that the top number in a fraction, the top numbers are called numerators. The bottom numbers are called denominators. One piece that students sometimes make a mistake thinking, a lot of times students think of division of fractions the same way that multiplying fractions was. When we multiply fractions, we went straight across the top, straight across the bottom, and we were done. Very simple, very direct rule. Unfortunately, it's not that easy or not that immediate for division. When you start actually looking into the different ways that people are taught how to divide fractions, there are a lot of different videos out there. And some of the most common ones that pop up, multiply by the reciprocal. You see multiply by the reciprocal all the time when you actually get around to multiplying or dividing fractions. And what that one always tells you is the first one will be here, but instead of doing division of 1 over 5, you would multiply by the reciprocal, 5 over 1. Just taking the fraction 1 over 5 and flipping it for its reciprocal. Well, a lot of people like to have this piece of multiply by the reciprocal, and that's what they use to remember. That's the rule they use. If you already are comfortable with multiply by the reciprocal, go ahead and use it. A lot of people are just uncomfortable with reciprocal for some reason, and instead they prefer to think of it in terms of flip. Sometimes you'll see teachers wind up telling you the first one stays the same, division gets changed, and then you flip the second one. And you'll notice the goal behind this is that you wind up writing things down, 2 over 5, dividing gets changed to multiplying, 1 over 5 gets flipped to 5 over 1. And you'll notice both of those wind up leading you to the same correct procedure. They both wind up leading you to a position where you multiply straight across, 2 times 5 to get 10, multiply straight across the denominators, 5 times 1 gives you 5, and so both of them wind up giving you this answer of 10 over 5. Well, this is not the method that we're going to use in the video. They are both valid, they're both correct, and if you already remember multiply by the reciprocal, and if you already remember same, change, flip as a tool, go ahead and use the things that you already know. But what I would like to observe here, both of these had a situation where we took 5 times 2 to get the numerator. Both of these had 5 times 1 to get the denominator. If we would like to cut down on the amount of writing we can do, we can simply remember North Dakota, numerator and denominator. When we take it with this approach, the important characteristic was that in the end, we identify 2 and 5 go together to be multiplied, and that becomes your top number, the numerator. Right there, 2 times 5. That's your numerator. 1 times 5. You'll notice that's exactly what we had here. 1 times 5 is the denominator, so 1 times 5 is the denominator. We can use just North Dakota with this X as a guide to help us get the answer much more quickly. in particular, when we look at dividing fractions like this, numerator, denominator. That is top and bottom. 2 times 6 is 12. That's our numerator. 5 times 5, that's 25. Our denominator, bottom number. Can you simplify that? Nope. Nope. Done. That's our answer. Nothing else. Taking another example. 9 over 4 divided by 3 over 4. North Dakota. Numerator, denominator. Top and bottom. Well, 9 times 4, that's 36. 3 times 4, that's 12. And 36 divided by 12, can you simplify it? Yeah, what could you divide out by? Okay, we could divide by 6. 36 divided by 6 would equal 6. 12 divided by 6 equals 2. 6 over 2 equals 3. And Jacob, you are absolutely correct. If we wanted to, if you recognized it right away at the beginning, if you recognized immediately 36 over 12, 36 divided by 12 equals 3. If you recognize it immediately, you can go directly to the answer and not have to worry about simplifying. If you don't recognize it though, you can still simplify. There's no problem with that. What would you do if it's a whole number though? That's not a big issue. Same thing that we saw with multiplication. Put it over 1. And now we'll follow our same rule. North Dakota. 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 1 is 1. 12 over 1. Done. One really common place where this skill gets used, problems like this, Shelby. How could you get the height of this rectangle? Or if the shape is a parallelogram, it'll work the same way. Well, the key characteristic, of course, is what we noted before. When we were working with multiplication, we saw that the area is base times height. Well, if you're trying to get the height by itself, you'd be able to divide by the base. And we're noticing that area divided by the base will give you the height. This is the relationship we will use. We have the area, we have the base. Area divided by base will equal the height. So just divide by fractions then. Top and bottom. 1 times 2. 1 times 5. There's our answer. We wind up with having something that is 2/5 of a foot. Done. Just 2 quick pieces of multiplication. It's just remembering which pieces you're supposed to multiply. And our last example for this video. A very common equation that you've been using for years is the distance equation. We know that distance equals rate multiplied by time, or rate is your speed. How fast you're driving multiplied by how long you drive will tell you the total distance you drove. Well, this problem tells us you drive 25 miles in 1/2 an hour. We already know that if we divide out by time, distance divided by time is the rate. So, distance divided by time equals the average rate, which is what we're trying to get. So, how will you take 25 divided by 1/2? Absolutely easy. Put it over 1. And then 25 times 2. 1 times 1. And 50 divided by 1 tells us our answer, 50 miles per hour. We're done. All of our problems can be done with whichever technique you prefer. If you like multiply by reciprocal, go ahead. If you prefer change flip, all right. But it's been my experience that once students learn our little North Dakota X rule, most students prefer that shortcut simply because it's less writing. The challenge, of course, is remembering the rule. If you don't remember the rule correctly, it can be dangerous because then it leads you down a wrong path where you get wrong answers and you've done very little work to show what you were doing. Make sure you use the rule appropriately. Numerator, denominator. It's the top number and the bottom number when you multiply those out. Make sure you don't get them mixed up.